Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's Disneyland outing turned into a PR disaster so bad, it shattered the illusion they've spent years trying to keep. For a couple that claims to crave privacy, showing up at the most paparazzi-packed theme park seemed like a strange choice. And when the perfectly timed photos hit the internet, people instantly knew this was calculated. The staged angles, the accidental visibility of their entourage, all felt too convenient. From the moment those Disneyland photos hit the internet, something felt off. Meghan and Harry, who've spent the last few years condemning press intrusion, somehow ended up in the most crowded tourist trap in America on a high-traffic weekend. And they didn't sneak in through the back or secure a private tour like most celebrities would. They strolled down with Archie and Lilibet right in front of the cameras, smiling like it was just another spontaneous family outing. Except the photos were perfectly framed, the angles were clean, the lighting was flattering, and there just happened to be multiple photographers stationed in the right spots at the right times. Then came the inconsistencies. The kids' faces were blurred in every outlet. At first, it seemed like a protective move, but Meghan and Harry have used this tactic before. Release soft press images that include their children, then blur the faces to blame privacy concerns. But the public's tolerance has worn thin, because it's not just the images that feel fake, it's the entire act. One day they're filing lawsuits against tabloids for photographing their children. The next, they're walking through Disneyland with cameras conveniently catching every smile and gesture. Piers took to social media saying, "We see you," mocking the exact kind of blurred face post the Sussexes are known for. Suddenly, it was about everything the public had been suspecting for years, that behind the PR curtain, Meghan and Harry were playing a game of brand, not boundary. The backlash was instant. Social media platforms lit up with criticism, even from former supporters. One viral post read, "If you want privacy, maybe don't stage a photo shoot at Disneyland." People were done playing along. The illusion of the struggling couple fighting for their family's safety was being replaced by a far less sympathetic image. But this wasn't outrage fueled by tabloids. It was fans who had once defended Meghan and Harry who were now questioning everything. Critics dubbed it Kardashian core PR, but with a royal twist, using family moments as content to regain control of a crumbling narrative. When the Sussexes' projects fail, the kids get brought out. It wasn't just the public turning on them, it was the blatant contradictions they could no longer hide. You can't spend years denouncing media attention and claiming your children are off limits, only to show up at a place like Disneyland with no effort to stay under the radar. And the timing made everything worse. Just days before King Charles was set to appear at a major royal tradition celebrating the monarch's birthday, Harry and Meghan's Disneyland stunt dominated headlines. To royal insiders, it felt like sabotage. This was supposed to be a moment for the monarchy to reinforce tradition and stability, but instead, the press was flooded with images of the Sussexes. Even reputable sources inside the palace quietly acknowledged that Meghan and Harry weren't just leaving the royal institution, they were actively undermining it. What made it especially painful was the use of Lilibet's name. When Meghan and Harry announced their daughter's name as Lilibet, they claimed it was in honor of Queen Elizabeth II. But palace sources claimed the Queen had never been consulted and certainly hadn't given formal approval. The choice was controversial then, and now, seeing it used in a staged media outing almost as PR damage control hit a nerve. For King Charles, it was personal. That name wasn't just a tribute, it was a nickname that had belonged solely to his mother, used by close family members in private. Seeing it tossed into a Disneyland photo op felt like a slap in the face. One royal aide reportedly described Charles as deeply embarrassed by the optics. Another said the king was furious that Meghan and Harry continued dragging his late mother's memory into their ongoing media circus. To many inside the monarchy, this was about boundaries. It's this type of move that hijacks attention that's turned the rift between Harry and his family into something far more toxic. Meghan and Harry reportedly began exploring legal action. Again, this time their target was Piers, who had been relentlessly criticizing them for what he called selective transparency and victimhood PR. Though his post about the blurred faces didn't name them directly, everyone knew who it was aimed at. It was a calculated move to expose what he sees as the Sussexes' manipulation of public sympathy. But this wouldn't be the first time Meghan clashed with Meghan. After her infamous Oprah interview, Meghan publicly questioned her claims about mental health and palace racism. The backlash was intense, and when Meghan refused to apologize on air, it led to his high-profile exit from Good Morning Britain. But even then, Meghan doubled down, accusing Meghan of weaponizing victimhood to silence critics. Now he's back. Meghan's platform is bigger, his audience more engaged, and his critiques are sharper. He's not just pointing out inconsistencies, he's connecting the dots. One moment, Meghan and Harry are demanding privacy and suing media outlets. The next, they're staging photo ops with their kids. Meghan calls it emotional blackmail wrapped in brand brand messaging. What makes the threat of legal action even more ironic is the sheer visibility of the Sussexes' media campaign. From Netflix documentaries to Spotify deals to lifestyle brands, they've never truly stepped away from the spotlight. And Morgan sees their lawsuits and public complaints not as defenses of truth, but as tools to silence. To him, they aren't. Protecting their family, they're protecting a profitable storyline. The legal battle with Morgan could mark another turning point, not because of the outcome, but because of the public fatigue that's starting to set in. Every new lawsuit, every dramatic statement, every photo feels less like righteous outrage and more like an old script. Meghan's personal brand is flopping, and the Disneyland stunt looked more like a last resort marketing tactic than a genuine family moment. Her podcast Confessions of a Female Founder launched with the backing of her new lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard. It was supposed to be a way to reposition herself as a relatable entrepreneur and media figure outside the shadow of royalty. But when the podcast quietly faded with almost no online engagement, it sent a clear message. The audience wasn't buying it anymore. And this is where the Disneyland moment starts to look more like strategy. Every time one of Meghan's ventures underperforms, there seems to be a conveniently timed family outing or headline-grabbing appearance. It's a pattern that's become so obvious, even longtime fans are pointing it out. When the media gets quiet, the narrative shifts to concerned mother, protective wife, or feminist founder. The public has begun connecting the dots. And now, with the American Riviera Orchard rollout barely making a dent in the public awareness, the Disneyland trip suddenly became front-page news. But instead of rejuvenating Meghan's image, it only highlighted how unauthentic it all felt. What's worse is that the strategy no longer seems to work. Major outlets ran the Disneyland photos, but the tone was skeptical, not supportive. They were asking why this keeps happening, and they noted the public's reaction was bored. This isn't just a bad PR moment. It's a sign that the brand they've built may be reaching its limit. And when the performance stops being believable, the audience stops caring. While the public was busy dissecting the Disneyland photos, things behind palace walls were reportedly crashing, and leading the charge was Prince William. Sources close to the royal family say William has had enough of the performances, and insiders claim William is done waiting for it to resolve itself. According to reports, internal discussions have already begun about officially severing royal ties with the Sussexes. This means actively stripping their remaining titles and privileges. Senior royals who previously resisted any escalation are reportedly changing their stance. The Disneyland stunt, with its blatant timing and use of Lilibet's name, may have been the final straw. But the palace isn't only focused on Harry and Meghan anymore. Their children are now part of it, and that's where things get even more delicate. There's growing chatter about whether Archie and Lilibet should retain their HRH titles, especially if their parents continue using royal connections for media leverage. Insiders insist it's not about punishing the kids, it's about setting boundaries. William, typically reserved and diplomatic in public, is said to be leading these conversations. Those close to him say he believes Meghan never had any real intention of joining the royal institution in good faith. From the fast-tracked romance to the whirlwind media coverage, it all feels, at least to him, like part of a long game. And with each new PR stunt, each new lawsuit threat, that theory seems more and more plausible. For William, it's not just about optics, it's about duty. He's preparing to be king, and every scandal tied to Harry and Meghan makes that job harder. Every public spectacle blurs the prestige image of a monarchy. The days of brushing off the Sussex drama as personal issues are over. It's now a matter of survival, and William is done staying silent. At the center of all the controversy is a growing theory that Meghan Markle never truly intended to join the royal family. From the moment she stepped into the spotlight, her approach seemed more calculated than committed. Everything surrounding her paints a picture of someone who didn't just marry into royalty, she leveraged it. Former palace staffers have started to come forward with accounts of what it was really like behind the scenes. The common theme was that Meghan reportedly resisted the traditional royal structure from the beginning. According to these insiders, she dismissed protocols, clashed with aides, and often pushed for media visibility over discretion. Her focus was on distinction, and that distinction is now isolating the Sussexes entirely. When the couple's royal exit was first announced, it was marketed as a necessary break for mental health and personal growth. But looking back, it now resembles the fallout of a long-anticipated rebrand. Within months, the Netflix deal was signed, the Spotify contract followed, the Oprah interview was ready to go. Each step in the Sussexes' journey away from the palace was marked not by privacy, but by production value. The public once sympathized with their narrative of being victims of a cold institution. But as more of these media moments unfold, that sympathy is fading. Harry, too, seems increasingly caught in a narrative he can't control. He's now often seen as playing a supporting role in Meghan's personal brand. His voice, once authentic and grounded, now sounds filtered through grievance and media strategy, and their pattern appears more and more predictable. Release a personal statement, stage a candid moment, share a blurry family photo. The tragedy here isn't just the loss of public goodwill, it's the thought of what could have been. Meghan and Harry had a unique opportunity to modernize the monarchy from within. Instead, their story is seen as one of personal ambition disguised in noble intentions. And the more people revisit the early stages of their journey, the more obvious it becomes that this was never just a royal love story. And now the truth is showing. Meghan and Harry once stood for something bold, freedom, truth, and emotional honesty. But now, to many, they represent the very thing they claimed to reject, a life lived for the cameras. The Disneyland outing confirmed all suspicions. Privacy was never the priority. The kids, the drama, the lawsuits are all part of a bigger performance. And as each stunt occurs, the audience grows smaller, more skeptical, and less forgiving. Because at the heart of it all lies a simple question. If Harry and Meghan truly wanted a private life, why does every moment feel so scripted?